Hey, you guys. It's Holly. Good morning. I don't know why my throat all of a sudden went crackly. Good morning, you guys. It is 8 a.m. my time, so Eastern Standard Time. It's been a while since I've gone live, and I wanted to check in with everybody because I've had a fun last few days. Hold on. Let me put my mic in. Hopefully. You'll get a notification when I go live. Sorry, my mic wasn't on. And yeah, we can get on YouTube and chat about things. So this kind of became like a little bit of a topic or a thought for a topic because I was reading a couple posts in there's social media groups I'm on, and it is a resounding thing. I want to travel. How can I get started? I'm scared to death. What do I do? Um, or my friends, my family, we had something booked, and everybody bailed at the last minute. I don't want to go by myself. I'm mad. All of this, and it's hard to explain to people how easy it is to travel, which is why I'm hoping my experiences, just showing you what it looks like out here, uh, helps you guys who are a little intimidated kind of get past some of that intimidation and take your first solo trip if you need to. But, and understand that it's not something that you can't get over. So you can make this journey and start traveling for yourself and on your own without travel companions. But if you so should need a travel companion, and a travel companion, y'all, can be family, significant other, vacations, um, friends, whatever, people who, you travel with. Okay, one second. That was my doorbell. Sorry about that, y'all. Okay, it was not. I think maybe it's the next door neighbor. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, travel companions can literally be anyone. I don't necessarily call your kids travel companions because if you take them, you gotta deal with them. So, um, let's get into the benefits. The benefits of travel, having travel companions. Um, so I'll just share with you. Normally, I'm a solo traveler. 9.9 times out of 10, I am a solo traveler. I don't. I don't plan travel with other people, except there's an exception. My brothers and my kids, if they, when they start traveling. But up until now, it's really just been my brothers. In the last, what month are we on? Like 31 months of traveling solo around the world, I've had some travel companions, friends that have visited me from out of the states, and then most recently, my brother popped in. But we usually cross paths during traveling, so it's more like a kind of meet and greet kind of situation. But the last week, my brother ended up traveling and popping in, and we share a similar birthday time period, and so we spent the week, birthday celebration, which is not really like party celebration, but like just really communing, getting together. And people who know me and my relationships with my brothers know that that is a amazing fellowship time. I cherish those moments, being able to experience it, given that I am sometimes around the world. I'm in a whole different continent, and he was able to just pop up. He's super busy, and just my one of my brothers, not all, but he was able to just pop up and just come and visit for a few days, and that's fantastic, right? And the cool thing about that is me and my two brothers that I've traveled with, we travel similarly. We've gone to China together before. We've gone places in the U.S. together, and so we know how, you know to commune in the same space, how to, some of the things I'm going to talk about that are negatives, that come up with people and stuff that could, make travel companionship failures, like create like the nightmares of traveling with a companion. And luckily I don't have that with my brother, so I always welcome them. I always like invite them, or look for them to see if they want to travel, because we also have a lot of fun. We're like stupid when we travel. And so, like, that's one of the first things that I'll say is, when you have if you find or have travel companions that you actually just click well with, that's a benefit, right? Everybody being on the same page is a benefit. Having people that um, you have similar behaviors in terms of how you travel. And a lot of times people don't think things matter. Oh, it don't matter. We're on different spaces. Let's say you're not even sharing a space like an apartment, um, but you're traveling with people and you're making the arrangements and all of that. When you're with people and you're not on the same page, and this is like, it doesn't really, I'm not really including like tour groups. because tour groups, that's what you do for your business, right? And so you have to manage relationships and, you know, what people expect, and you have to do those things because that's part of your business model. Whereas for someone like myself, or others where we're just traveling, and finding family members and things like that, is a little bit, the nuances are a little bit different. So some of the benefits is, you end up getting to go with somebody that you actually know, right? Um, we'll talk about the negatives of somebody you know too. You get to be around somebody to experience things with. So a lot of times I do tours by myself, and hopefully have a cool tour guide who I can end up chatting with and things like that. Maybe learning about the culture or the city outside of like the tour stuff, because they give you historical things and that those kind of details. But a lot of times, I like to ask, intricate questions around like the environment or atmosphere, especially if it's someplace that I would consider living. And every once in a while, you get a really good tour guide that's honest and open about sharing things, which we've experienced the last two tours we took. Or well, I technically wasn't two tours. It was technically one tour, and then we met some other people as a part of it. So having somebody experience it with, so you're kind of sharing things and aha moments and different things like that. It's cool. I can't deny it. It's something that if you get to experience and have an enjoyable time on a trip, part of your long travel while you're moving or relocating or whatever, and you meet people who kind of share ideas and similarities and things like that, or interest in the same type of tours and stuff, to meet people like that and be able to do things with other people is super. Um, it's super. It's super. And my screen just seems like it's foggy. So I apologize to keep wiping it like that, but I'll change it so it's a little bit clearer. Um, a lot of times when we travel, one of the things that I think become makes it intimidating too is when you go to a place and it's foreign speaking. So their national language is not your native language, right? So maybe you could speak a little bit, like I'm in a Spanish speaking country and I can speak a little bit, but I definitely cannot have a full conversation. I can, oh, no, no, no say, no, me no comprende, something like that, But I can't have a full fledged conversation with a native Spanish speaker in Spanish. And so sometimes, like in this space, I'll give you an example. I have been traveling, like I said, about, I think it's month 31 ish, something like that. Um, it's or month 32. I might be on month 32 at this point, but uh, I've been in. I started in a Spanish-speaking country. I went to Swahili, two Swahili-speaking countries, an Arabic-speaking country, a Thai-speaking country, and then back to Spanish-speaking countries. And the 5 months, last 5 months, I've been in Spanish-speaking countries. So I've been in I've been in 4 countries, one of which the national language is English, but um, the people there do speak Spanish, and that was Belize. The other places are Panama, Ecuador, and Colombia. All Spanish speaking, all slightly different than when I was in Mexico, and each slightly different from each other. And it's more like the slang words and stuff like that, which I'm learning as I go how to learn street language. We'll call it street language, the calle lengua. And I don't know. Anyway, and so going places where you're around a bunch of people who speak their native language and it's not your native tongue and you're wanting to enjoy yourself and stuff. I've learned how to figure it out. You know, I'm pretty good with managing my space. There's tools that you can use to, unless you're in like some completely isolated place, for the most part, you might be able to find other expats or travelers, people passing through areas, or if you do tours, a lot of times, you'll, especially if it's a touristy place, you're going to likely find someone else who probably speaks your native language, especially if it's English, right? And so there's different things that you can do. Like I said, you can go on social media, you can um, join groups, expat groups, travel groups, stuff like that. Hey, who's going to be in this area? You guys are in this area. What things are there to do? So you don't have to necessarily be by yourself the entire time. You might start that way, but you don't have to stay that way. And that's been something that I've done in every country that I've been in: Thailand, Kenya, uh, Tanzania, Mexico. Not so. Yeah, Mexico. It was a whole group. I had to think about that. When I went to a few other cities, I was kind of really, really solo. But in Tulum, there's a huge expat community. In Egypt, I didn't, because I ended up meeting people at the hotel I was staying at. We ended up hanging out the entire time. So the reason like that's cool is because you can actually communicate what you're experiencing or what you feel about what you're seeing or whatever's happening, right? One of the other things I think is interesting too, and it's not really about a companion, is a lot of times if you're out and about and you're trying to have a conversation with someone who's a non-native, you don't share the same native language, every now and again you'll get somebody who speaks both. They're like bilingual and they'll come up and try to assist you. And that happened when we were on a tour. But we were actually practicing Spanish and English with our tour guide. He wanted to know how to say, as a tour guide, how do you guys say this like non-formally, and so we would share that, and then we would ask questions about how to say certain things in Spanish. He's like, what phrases do you want to know? And of course, when you're put on the spot like that and you're not like officially in a class, you can't think of anything. Right? um, but that's like one of the benefits, is like you literally get someone that you can chat with uh, when you're moving around the space. And like, hey, did you experience this? What are some cool places? Oh, you've been over here. What would you suggest? What's the vibe? And a lot of times I don't really go off of what everybody says. I kind of look at who's sharing the information over just information share, because a lot of times if we don't share similar walking paths or personalities or things like that, what is really cool or really good, even from a palette perspective, may be great for one person, and then I would go and try it and be like, yeah, no, that's not, I don't want that, or an area, somebody will be like, oh, I don't like this area because of one, two, three, four, five. But you go and you're like, I'll go to a place and I'll be like, wow, I loved it. It was fantastic. Um, so I always say, with companion or without a companion, make your own decisions based on what feels right for you. Like, so I'm big on, if you've got the time, explore. Because a lot of times what people suggest may still not be what you are really into, and you could really miss out on some fantastic experiences when you're kind of just sitting and waiting for, or relying solely on someone else telling you uh, if something is good or not. Okay, so that's the top three things. The next thing, this is kind of a major one. If you have a travel companion, you usually, if you're residing in the same place, you have someone to share some of your major expenses with, which is the accommodations. So I'm in a 3 bedroom apartment right now. I check out today, and normally this would be really low. Um, it's I don't know if you guys can see. It's a huge, huge, huge beach club apartment complex. You guys can see the little ocean in the background, and the little island over there, and some other houses down there, and a little spillway. And we have a whole beach club set up on the beach, and there's 2 pools, 3 pools, like lap pools and all of that, and kiddie play areas. And um, since I travel slow and long, spend I don't book places that are $150, $200 a night unless I'm splurging. And typically in December. Hey Aisha, thank you. Yeah, it is really, really nice. I'll give you guys a quick glimpse of the apartment. Well, I'm gonna actually post a video for the apartment, so check back for the little apartment tour. But yeah, so my balcony that I'm on, there's the street and then mountains. So we got ocean and mountain. And so this place by far was for 3 bedroom was $130 a night. I mean, like, it's perfect, right? Location isn't the best. It's in a developing area, but it's a little bit further from kind of the main area. So, but it has better beaches. So we chose it because of it's bigger, nice balcony. We get the nature of the mountains and the tranquility of the ocean. Um, it appeared more walkable because I think it was, when you first book a place on Airbnb, you don't actually see the actual exact location until after you book it. It was a non-refundable place, so once they sent the location and you kind of span out, then you see like all the cluster of restaurants and activities and things to do that were all like in this little cluster right here, go like this. And so now it's not walkable because there's a highway and they don't have a walking path here. They have walking paths along the highway a little bit further up. But the benefit to me um, for doing this is I knew I was staying longer. Oh, the wind is blowing out here. I knew I was staying here longer, so I can venture and check out multiple locations. So while we were both here, we went to the next like city area and check that out, which is really a major touristy, but it's not even just a real touristy. It's like a really busy beach and everything for locals and everybody. Got there, I didn't really like the town at all. It's one of those, like, literally, it's like a pass through kind of. Um, hey, Shanna, good morning. Yeah, I got a little frogger in my throat. I lost my voice a couple days ago, and it went through this whole process of all that. So pardon me, every now and again it sounds like I'm doing a Mariah Carey falsetto something. It's not intentional. um but yeah, so we checked out that area. I was like, nope, I'm not gonna stay here because they had some really nice apartments available for the next week there. And because I didn't really want to stay in the downtown area where I am initially. But I ended up booking down there because I love the area. It's walkable. There's restaurants, everything, everywhere. Excellent food. We had some amazing food last night. Everything is still cheap. You just have, and there's a beach there. It's not as pretty. It's like 3 beaches. Um, but it's nice. It's tranquil. Um, it's nice. It's tranquil, and you got a little bit of excitement. I'll be there over Christmas. So back to the companion and traveling and meeting people along the way. When we were in Medellin before we came to the coast, we met some people on a tour who are here living on their boat because they sail around the world. And they literally flew in from Santa Marta, which is where I am, to Medellin, and they were on the same tour as us. And we ended up hanging out with them after the tour for like 5 more hours. So, like I said, like you don't always have to be by yourself um, when you travel solo. And yes, it does take like kind of you do have to at least open your mouth and speak, but you can enjoy and make travel companion um, friendships along the way. So anyway, so the the benefit of kind of being here first for a couple of days is I got to scope out a couple of other places that are more in my price range. They're a little bit lower. It's higher because it's December, so it's high travel season. So everything is higher than what I would normally pay. But I always have this kind of bucket set aside for December, which is, my birthday month and all that. But typically, if you travel with other people, you can save on expenses. You can split the cost in half. We have 3 bedrooms here. If it was like 2 more people, because there's actually 4 beds, and then the couch, if you want to sleep on it, there's a couch out here if you want to sleep on it. You know, I think the max people that they allow in here is 6. I think 6 people, because I have a king bed, we have a queen bed, and we have 2 twin beds. So you can fit one. Technically, you can fit one, two, three, four. Yeah, 6 people comfortably in beds. Um, and so, from that perspective, that's great. Or if you're wanting to do like some sort of tour or do private tours, sometimes doing a private tour with like 4 people, like if you know some other people, maybe they're not even touring with you or traveling with you, but you meet them and you're like, hey, we all want to do this tour. Instead of us paying $200 a piece, we could do a private tour, which is 500, and we save $50 each. I don't know, whatever. So sometimes you benefit from that. Um, different group type of events, like they'll do, sometimes you'll find cheaper rates the more people that you have. So those are some of the benefits of actually having a travel partner. The other thing, given that my brother was here, the other thing that's nice about, having a travel partner, especially a companion or whatever, this being my brother, is you have, I get for a moment to relax and know that I've got someone that is a protector by me, so I'm always on alert. He's on alert, we're both, but I can chill for a bit because he always walks the street side. He's very chivalrous kind of person. And so I get to sit in my feminine self because my brother's here and I don't have to really work unless we both got to go to blows. And yeah, I mean, we'll do what we got to do, right? But it's actually nice. And that can happen with a vacation, other family members, or whatever. But that is one of the, and both my brothers are, both my younger brothers are like that. All my brothers are that way, but I travel with my 2 younger brothers primarily. And so to have that and it's not attached to a significant relationship is fantastic. So, um, you know, I like it when I can have it. Plus, I got great companions. We can sit and talk for hours. Sometimes that's good, sometimes that's bad. I know some people would be like, y'all talk forever. If you guys are on, I don't know where my screen went. Okay, there it is. What are like some of the reasons why you would want a travel companion, or that you found that having a travel companion is beneficial? Please share, because I'm going to go and share. I'm going to start sharing some of the things I think are negative. Given that I'm a solo traveler, I think it's pretty evident that I don't wait for other people to travel. And that's why one of the primary things is when you don't need a travel companion, you're more free to move about. Your schedule is more open. You can kind of go when you need to go, do what you need to do, when you need to do it, how you need to do it, right? Rather than being on someone else's timeline. So the negative is like I said, when you plan something and you've got one person, two people, three people, whatever, all planning, yes, I'm going to go, I'm ready to go, I want to do this. And then when it's time to go or when it's time to pay the money for something that you put on hold or whatever, people bail. And I don't care, y'all, it never fails. Even tour groups have people that bail. Everybody has someone that bails. Jenny said, I swear that sounds like my door ringing, but it's not. Um, I have someone I can trust with my belongings. That's true. So like when you're in places like this place, interestingly enough, as built out as it is, I don't think it has a safe. And I think that's because you just assume that, everybody knows each other. Anyway, okay, sorry y'all, I got distracted. The last time the bell rang, I went out there and wasn't nobody there, so I think it's somebody else's apartment. Enjoy having someone to share my experience with. Yes, yes, yes. What do you think about meeting people while you're traveling and, hanging out with those people and like developing friendships with people that you didn't necessarily start your travel journey with, but picked them up along the way? Oh, I'm glad you said the cruises, Aisha, because I took one cruise and I swear I was going to be a lifetime like cruise person and cruise like 2 3 times a year. But the penalty for traveling for cruising by yourself, especially as a budget traveler, even when you know I had endless cash, I don't it wasn't endless, but I was had good income. I didn't want to pay double or almost double because I was traveling solo. And I know some cruise lines offer solo rooms, but it's still more expensive than having a room because they basically base it by how many beds I think are available. Yeah, so I haven't been back on another cruise. I hate it because I thought cruising was amazing. Such a fun time. You see like two or three places in one travel trip, which I love. I'm able to meet people along the way, but it's not my first intention. Okay. When and I know you're talking about doing this long travel or relocating, will you be going to an area that has expats and other people that you can meet, like a city that has, a nice network that you can kind of commune with? A double occupancy expenses, well, yeah, it is. And I think Royal Caribbean does something. But what's funny is some of the places that offer like what they consider a discount for solo travelers, their prices already are higher. So like Royal Caribbean to me has always been higher than Caribbean. Is it Caribbean Cruise Lines? Carnival. I'm sorry, Carnival Cruise Lines. And so like, okay, so I'll do Royal because I can do it by myself. Um, and they offer solo, but it ends up being it's still higher anyway. So it's like this give and take. And I think somebody said NCL is a Norwegian Cruise Lines. I think offers like a single thing, and I feel like cruises are one of the places that I mean, unless you do hostels, like if you do hostels, you could do a shared cruise room with somebody you don't know. But cruise, like standard rooms, even like up to level 4, where they're not super big, that's a tight space to be with somebody that you don't know. Um, when I do hostels, I do private room hostels. So I'm past the point of sleeping in a room with other people I don't know in that close proximity. I mean, if I have to do that at some point, maybe I would. But like, I would do it if I was with four people and it's a really nice hostel and we all could share the same room, like my brothers or something like that. We rent one room and have the bunk beds or whatever. If it's like an upscale room, I would do that. But yeah, you're right. The double occupancy cost is whack, and um, it is really interesting that you don't really see it. The only time is like when somebody like Tom Joyner or someone is doing a singles cruise, and then at that point you might as well just pay for a double room and go on the cruise that you want to go on when you want to go, because the price that you're going to pay for a Tom Joyner cruise, which I know they offer a lot of different. I don't even know if he does cruise anymore, but y'all know what I'm saying. Those cruises are end up being like $5,000, and to me that's high. That's high for like 5 nights. If you got it, do it. But for me, because I'm always traveling and moving around, like that just blows my mind, because that next week that same route is $239 a night, or less, or $239 for the whole trip. So, and I know it's the experience and meeting people and that kind of thing. So if that's what you're into, that's great. It just doesn't like it. Certain things, if it doesn't make logical sense, um, like some things just really set me off. Like that whole concept of what did you just do? I always think of, but what could I do if is this really the best decision, the smartest financial decision to make? And sometimes it is. Like I said, December, I do indulge a little extra because I know, number one, it's more expensive. I tend to be in December um, in a place for a temporary amount of time, but usually a month or 3 weeks to a month. But I'm usually moving around, hopping around to multiple places like I have been this month. And so it's always going to be more expensive, but not to the point like I would pay $5,000 for 1 month. Now, if somebody want to be my bae and pay for it, let me go by myself. But pay for it, I would more than gladly accept that offering. Um, I'll be seeking spots with expats for instant community. Oh, that's cool. However, as I feel more confident in my solo travel, I will travel based on what the country has to offer me. That's awesome, and that's the thing. Like, as you get past the honeymoon stage, also, and oop, as you get past the honeymoon stage of traveling, and it starts to set in, and you're just like, okay, can I do this every day? Can I be around these places? Is this as friendly as I thought? Is it as walkable as I want? Is the energy good? And water just gives me water just feels good, y'all. Water just feels good. So I'm always happy to make my way to a coast. But what I realize is I don't. I'm gonna check out a few more places. I'm gonna stay here for another 8 days, and so I'm gonna check out a couple places north of downtown, and because it's supposed to be mountainous. It's much closer to downtown than I am now. I'm about 30 minutes. The first time it took like 40 minutes, but we came back last night and it took like 10 minutes. I don't even know. So it wasn't a lot of traffic. But anyway, that area is a little bit closer. So, I can probably go back and forth. And I think the beaches a little bit further north of downtown are nicer. Plus, you've got um, like the forest preserve, and there's hiking and all of that kind of stuff there. So, so I'll be doing that. So let's talk about some of the negatives. Like, so one of the negatives I was saying is, um, when you meet somebody and they're not necessarily, they cancel on you. So number one, when people say that they're going to do something and they cancel on you last minute, and then you got to figure things out. That's one of the reasons why I struggle with planning things with people. Um, hey, Al. Good morning. I don't know why that keeps popping up. Like, won't stay open. Yes. Oh my gosh. So the boating full time thing. You guys know, I had that experience in Thailand, and I love it. I loved it. So meeting this couple in Medellin who's here sailing, and I want to do, check out a sailboat. We were supposed to do a sailboat tour yesterday, and it was canceled because the boat was in it, ended up being rented for a private event, and the other offerings they had were on speedboats. And I was like, yeah, I'm not as interested in the snorkeling part as I am interested in the sailboat because it's an opportunity to learn. And so I'll be here, so I'm gonna do it myself by myself. Um, where am I? I am in Colombia. I am on the coast in a smaller town called Santa Marta for the time being. But yeah, so planning stuff with people, it's a struggle because I've done it before. I've even been part of a group where somebody invited me to go with them, and everybody in their initial group canceled. And what happened, it was when my son was 7 years old. And I had told him about this trip to Florida and Disney World and all of that. And when and it's a really good friend of mine, but when all of her people canceled, she decided to cancel. And I was like, I can't do that to my son. I've told him we're going somewhere, we're gonna go. And so we went by ourselves. And it was our first solo trip out of the state. And that started like our whole travel bug of he and I traveling together when we went to Mexico and just different parts of the world, jump in the car and go somewhere. And so he learned about traveling, and he's had his passport since he was 7 or 9. And that was something I've always, really tried to instill is, have an appetite for travel, because the things that you learn, the experiences you have are just they're not, you can't like put a, a like a tangible value on it. Like, it's exponential. The value that travel brings, and every day, even in spaces that I'm very familiar with, I feel like I learn something new. I experience something that I go, have an aha moment, like, wow, okay, that's how it is. Appreciation moment, the things that you could potentially overlook, but travel gives you that space to experience it. So, um, Thailand is Sawadika. Yes. So, another negative is when you people who don't have the same personality as you might. So I'm a person, I'm really chill. I like people who are clean. If we're gonna be rooming together, people who keep their word. Don't say you're gonna do something if you're not gonna do it. Just say you ain't gonna do it. Um, People who are courteous and stuff. So these are just like basic things, right? You could end up traveling with somebody who is the exact opposite. First of all, I tell you, vet people, but a lot of times we think people that we hang out with are people we call friends, or people who we grew up with, or family members, or whatever. Oh yeah, you want to go? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's go. Let's do this. And then you hear all these horror stories about things that happen. Look at the latest thing with the Shinquilla situation. That is unbelievable. Go on vacation when people are supposed to be your friends, and you end up not coming back alive. That's an extreme. It seems like it's an extreme, but you never know who and what people are until you like get into that space, or have spend time with people to find out how they are. Like I said, a lot of times, we just want to go with somebody, and we plan things because everybody's super excited about it. But in essence, when people aren't like actually showing you that they really want to do it. They're putting the money into it. They're helping the planning. Unless it's a tour group. If it's a tour group, you ain't got to do nothing except pay. And that's why a lot of people do tour groups, because you have somebody managing all that. And that's fine as well. So I just kind of say, like, if you are planning to travel with somebody, and you want a travel companion, or you're looking for a travel companion, whether it's family, it could be your mama. Make sure that in small spaces you can actually function. Like, some people, like, imagine if you're with somebody who is loud and obnoxious in the morning, or they have their normal routine, or they go and they like to listen to music, but they're not respectful of other people. So yeah, you like to listen to music, but you have other people in your space. Put in earbuds, right? I've been around people who don't do that. I've been around people who will get up and they'll start clanging and all of that, and it's like, we all supposed to be up because you waking up. When I used to travel with two of my girlfriends, I would normally on vacation. I'm not a morning person in real life. Like, in the everyday scheme of things, I hate it getting up in the morning. But when I go on vacation, for whatever reason, I can be up at 5:36. I get up, I want to run the boardwalk, all this stuff. Like, I'm ready to go. Like, I'm excited. Let the sun come in, boom, boom. And one of my friends, we would always share, since we'd always either have like two beds or whatever. So one, we'd have to double on one bed or whatever. And so we would share a space because we were more alike. But she hated the morning, and I would wake up in the morning, and this was just to pick with them. And I would open the curtains and be like, "Good morning." She'd be like, "Oh my God, I'll leave," close it. I'd close them back, of course. But we if they were really like, don't bother me till 9 a.m. or whatever, and it was something that really could alter their mood negatively, I would never do things, like that to people, or things to people that, affect them in a way that, like, we don't have any control over what affects people, and you don't have to walk on eggshells. But there is a level of respect when you share space, and I think a lot of times people forget that. Like, they just be like, "Well, I'm doing what I do. I paid my price. I paid my fee too, so I should be able to be how I am." And I'm just sitting there like, "Ooh, you got to vet people out first, because if you don't, it could be miserable." And let's say you've spent six, seven, eight, $900, $1,000, $2,000, and you got a room with a particular person, maybe somebody you don't know or somebody that you do know, and you can't get your money back. Child, please. Look, child, please. Not today. Me and my baby, age 7, travel every year. She did her first cruise. Oh, okay. How was the Disney cruise? Because let me tell you, I wanted to take my son on a Disney cruise. This was years ago. I mean, he's 30 now. I ain't gonna take him on this cruise. I take the babies. But back then, it was for like 4 nights. It was $5,000 for two of us, and this was 20 years ago. And so I kind of just want to know, is it worth it? Donald Duck and them on there. So we basically just went to Disney World, walked around, and went to Universal Studios and stuff. So we never actually did a Disney cruise. And I kind of just want to know, is it worth it from a non-content creator perspective? Because I've seen people do, show Disney Cruise Lines and all of that, and they're content creators. And I mean, as a content creator, I know, you know, everything is going to look a certain way, a glamorous way, especially if you're representing a company, if they're sponsoring you, stuff like that. It's just going to look different. So, because when I get my sponsorship, please note and believe this is a little bit of a filter to brighten it, because it seems like it's dark up here. That's what all my stuff going to look like. It's going to look like that, because this is what it really looked like, which is still just as beautiful, but the 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 area, like, it would get dark. So that's why it's so blue, because I changed the filter. So I know how it is when people are trying to showcase something and show all the good points about it. um, it kind of distorts the reality of what a place is really like for the everyday person, right? So, they'll show these huge rooms, and like, I could be on a cruise boat and this is what a cruise looks like, and people think that everybody gets a room like this. No, this is that $5,000 room, So I'm interested to know because I got grandbabies, and I'm sure that they would love it. I hate traveling with low energy people. Yes, you should. Ooh, yes, you should plan some downtime within the trip, but not lay around the entire trip. Well, you know what? What I learned, Shanna, listen, I swear I was like, like I am kind of high energy, and sometimes it might be more high energy than people want to deal with. But that's what you're gonna get, and I think that's why a lot of people be like, "No, I'll wait, I'll go with somebody else." And I'm like, I don't bug you. You do your own thing. My brother was here. We have our own space. He would get up, go work out, do whatever. We check back. Hey, what you know what I'm saying? So you learn how to commune with people. But one of the things that I learned in this travel journey, and especially with people vacationing, like in Mexico, I had three people come and visit me. Three people come and visit me week after week after week, and it was almost like a month of people hanging out. And one thing I've learned is realizing who people are, what they like, what their tendencies are, and let them be. Like if a person want to hang, sleep in bed all day, and they paid their money, let them go because like you spend so much time like get up unless it's a kid, right? And I ain't staying in because you want to play video games all day, and you too young for me to leave you here all day. That's why I like cruises too because they have areas for kids, and so you can like it's like you got daycare, and you can send your kids to them like PlayStation rooms and stuff like that, or if they're teenagers, they got rooms and stuff for that. And you feel pretty safe because it's monitored by the staff and stuff, and so you can enjoy yourself from that perspective. But I'm at a point now. If you spend your money, when I was in one of my travel excursions last year, I ended up meeting some people, and one of the people that I ended up meeting while I was there, we ended up hanging out and stuff. And she was a complete opposite traveler that I am, but very clean, very respectful in that respect and everything. But could just stay in the room all day, and when it's like a short trip, I it's harder to see why somebody would do that. But both she and I were there for 3 weeks, so you got a little bit more time. So it was just like I was quiet. I do what I need to do, you know, move about and leave, and then text later. Hey, you want to meet up later? Stuff like that. So I learned to just honestly let people be what they're gonna be because it's so frustrating trying to figure out well what you come here for. And I remember somebody else said that when I was on the trip, and they were like, "Yeah, but he's gonna miss out on everything." And I was like, "What does that have to do with anybody else?" Like. I can't even worry about somebody missing out on things, especially if they're an adult. Like, that's kind of your issue. Um, Back in the day, I used to type out an itinerary for my friends when we went on vacation. They hated me. I used to do that with my son. Like I'm telling you, to the minute. Like every 20 minutes was planned, whether or not we were walking somewhere, catching a bus, or taxiing, or how much time we were going to spend. And a lot of times it's because it was a financial thing. Like I needed to make sure I had the money, um like we weren't overspending, we were on this budget. But because one of my sons, when he was younger, his favorite travel destinations was Vegas. Like he loved Vegas, and Vegas has a ton of stuff, and this was, like I said, 20 some years ago, right? And so we would plan all that because you could overspend. You could come if you can get back, you broke. you know. And so I literally would have. I remember having the sheets of paper, and I had every single thing, like what he wanted to do, what I wanted to show him, and stuff like that. And I knew where to go. And I remember one day he wanted some penne pasta. That's all he liked. He liked Alfredo penne pasta. We walked the entire strip, like this entire day, 112-degree weather, looking for penne pasta. I ended up finally finding him some penne, but that was like my only goal was to find him some penne pasta. And um, so yeah, that whole planning thing, I think probably 4 or 5 years ago, I quit with the planning except for myself. Like I planned my trip somewhere and check to see what cost is, for when I need to come back. When I was working full time, I would sometimes usually book my round trip to and from, but I stopped doing that even more so now because I just travel for a living. But I stopped doing that because I never knew where I would be flying in from, so I didn't want to purchase something and it's maybe not refundable, or it's an airline that doesn't fly back to the States or whatever. And so I literally get where I'm going and do a whole bunch of one ways from there. And then from there, have an idea of the places I want to see, like I would do. Um, I call it air cruising. When I would go to places in December, I would always travel in December for like 21 days. And the last time was 2019 before COVID, and I did two continents. Yeah, two continents, 5 countries, 4 or 5 countries, and like 10 cities in 21 days. So 3 days here, 3 days here. I caught a bus from one place to another instead of jumping on a plane. I did round trip tickets that took me to another city so I could spend the whole day there. $46 for round trip tickets, the day, like booking it a day or so beforehand. Um, so I felt like I could have more flexibility. And so I started getting out of this whole concept of planning full itineraries. And for some people, that's a difficult thing. Some people need itineraries to travel, and some people don't want anything. Like they want, let's just feel it out. And that's kind of how I am now. You get up in the morning, what do I feel like? Do I feel like running around? Do I feel like being in a tour? Do I feel like, you know, um, whatever, whether it's just mingling with other people in that space, or do I just want to have my freedom to grab my bag, grab my camera, my phone, whatever, grab, a blanket or whatever, go sit at the park, go sit at the beach, walk around town and explore for 2 or 3 hours. What is it that I feel like doing? And sometimes I'll get to a place, like I'll go and I'll have coffee, and then I'll be like, oh, well, I can walk around from here. Oh, I didn't know this was over here. And those are the experiences that you can have when you don't have like a full itinerary. But it took me a while because I've always been a planner. I'm like, to the T. We got to do this. We got to do this. We got to get this in. We got to, oh, and then we got to make sure we on this corner so we can catch the Uber. All kinds of stuff. And so I just slowly got out of that itinerary. Um, the 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 planning where it has to be to the T. So when my brother was here, I wanted to do the sailboat thing, and so since our birthdays are a few days apart, he was like, "Yeah, that's dope. I've never done sailboat," and ultimately ended up, like I said, it was canceled because they ended up having a um, like a private party or whatever, and so we just didn't do it, and we ended up just walking and hanging, literally just talking. And it was good downtime for him because he travels all the time. So it's not like, oh my God, we missed a whole day and he had to leave, and whatever. He's like, the reason I invited him here was to give him an experience of a place that's just as close to the US as, I mean, it's a few hours more than traveling to Mexico or something like that, but it's a great experience. The energy is amazing. And he now has added it to his list of places that he will come back to in 2023 and spend some time. And this might be just his place that he frequents regularly, right? He's looking for golf courses, so, and they're really sticklers about, public golf courses here. So that might be the only contingency that he has, but it served its purpose. So I don't always, I just realized more and more I don't always have to be doing things. When I slow travel or was quick traveling, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 days, it's harder because you go all the way to a place, you do want to see certain things, right? And you have a short amount of time. So it's kind of like you kind of need to play. Like you can't like always be just, fly by night, right? So like I understood both sides, but now being a full time traveler, it's easier for me to kind of just go with the flow. kind of thing. And that's kind of what I help y'all with. Once you get past the like the romance, the honeymoon stage in traveling, how do you move around and do things like a regular person? One of the things I'll say about Colombia, I love it over here. So Latin America in general is most of the people that you'll be out and about with are locals. Even on tours, you'll be with locals. Some of the stuff, when you have like a tour guide, you'll look likely be with expats. But when you're just going to different locations and maybe you'll get a tour guide while you're there or something like that, you'll run into a lot of locals here. And I love that. I love that the local people, they keep it affordable for people who live here. The different spaces that I've been to, for them to explore and experience and take their families as well. And it's not just some tourist attraction that foreigners get to enjoy. As much as you like going to places and it's really cool. It's I really I struggle a lot of times when it's there activities that I can do that are basic that are not really affordable or set up for local people to do, right? So it's just that's a thing for me. Um, it was worth it for me because they had free daycare, so I could have relaxed time. The buffet had king crab claws. This is the Disney cheese. The buffet had king crab claws. Okay. Would your brother ever consider being a full time traveler? Yes, that's actually his plight in life. He is a very busy person. He's a dean at a college. He runs a business in Dallas. He has his own business that he's had for like 20 years. Like a consulting business. So he's very, very busy, but this was actually also nice for him too because he's literally always somewhere. He has to be somewhere. And so sometimes we also have to teach people that we aren't always going to be around. And so I didn't know if he was actually going to make it. We always talk about it. Hey, I might come. I might come. I might come. Where are you at now? And usually I'll ask me, where are you at? All of that. And it was kind of, he was like, yeah, I got the ticket. I'm going to be there such and such a time. And I ended up finding him. I had a studio. It was a small studio, or smaller studio. It was really cute. But I ended up finding him an apartment on the same floor. So he ended up renting one. His was like $15 cheaper than mine. I don't feel some kind of way about that. But so we did that the first few days, and then that we were in Medellin, and then we just booked a full apartment. But he wants to travel, like we've talked about, owning a boat. Could we sail the world? And as you meet people, it's like not by mistake that you run into people that are doing the things that you want to do. And so I'm going to take this quick break to kind of do a definition on friends. What are friends? Because we travel and we want to do different things and have different experiences. We always throw out the word like, I want to do it with friends. I want to experience this with my friends. And I heard this quote this morning, and the guy was saying, what is a friend? A friend is somebody who genuinely has your vision, your planned destiny at heart. Like it's something that is dear to them. What helps you be successful, what makes you helps you succeed, where you want to be, is important to that person, whether or not they are involved um, or included in that journey. That's a real friend. A friend that isn't looking and saying, well, you left me out. Why ain't you invite me? Those are like what I consider more adolescent relationships and things like that. When we become adults, we should be championing each other to our destiny, to fulfilling our destiny, to fulfilling happiness or whatever that is. And that's something that when he said, I was like, that is exactly how I feel. And you don't have like those rules and stipulations of, well, I haven't talked to you in such and such a time, so I ain't, talk. I no longer dwell in those spaces. Like the energy has to be a level of companionship. Let me just check, y'all, make sure ain't nobody ringing my doorbell. I ain't expecting nobody. I got a few more hours before I have to check out. It's so weird. It just sounds like it's right there. Just give y'all a quick glance of the room. I'll do the full tour in a video and post it on YouTube. That's a quick little glimpse. It's a glimpse of my digs. And then I'll give you guys a glimpse of my new digs when I move later on today. Um, so yeah, so some of the that's what a friend. That's what I feel like a friend is. At least that's what a friend is, in my opinion. It's somebody that you can, and I have a couple. I don't, in my opinion, you don't need a whole bunch of people around you. Um, you know. Oops, sorry, you guys. Fiddling with my mic. Um, you don't need a whole bunch of people to be great. But I do believe that you do need people in your space that kind of remind you what it is that you say you want to do, and not necessarily verbally remind you, but remind you in their actions as well. So like when I get around my brother, it's always my brothers. They always remind me to be kind. Um, you know, uh, Even in when you're agitated, there's a balance to it, and to continue pushing forward. And that we talk about long-term goals and how we achieve those and the non unconventional ways of living it, the reality of things, and um, you know we got to move past the things that are drawn out for us but don't really match what it is that we want to do. So we talk about those kinds of things, and those are amazing conversations to have, and have people in your circle that are like that. And everybody isn't like that. Like you could like end up meeting somebody and hang out, and y'all are really really cool together, but you realize like you just really, from a destiny perspective and a long-term perspective, you really just don't have the same, you don't have things in common, you don't want the same things. And it's not a bad thing, it just means that you're just going in a different direction, or what you value is different. That's what I was telling somebody the other day, about passports. Most people in the world can afford a passport, and I just go on a limb and say most people can afford a passport. Less than 50% of Americans have passports. Oh yeah, I did a video on it. So if you guys want to check that out, it's on my YouTube. Most people in the world can afford a passport. What I mean by that is even so, and I use the example of even drug users. Oftentimes, in my opinion, being around people who have partaken and stuff like that, they have more money than I have. Because when you look at what it takes to maintain a habit, you're talking about $200 a day or more and stuff like that. It's $160 for a passport. The reason why they don't have one is because it's not a value add to them. It's not something that they want. So a lot of times we'll be like, people can't afford this, people can't afford that, but you have a $1,000 cell phone, or you've got brand new kicks, $1,000 shoes, or you got to have a certain bag or something like that. So and I do understand that there are some people who can't, because they are living. Because at one point in time, I was living beyond smaller than paycheck to paycheck, and so there wasn't money, but I knew that that was a value for me. Like this is something that I was destined to do, that I was so determined to do, and so when I first got my passport, didn't really use it because I couldn't afford to use it. And then when I realized that actually I could afford it, I just had to sacrifice some of the little things, even just extra shopping at the grocery store, buying extra snacks and treats. That stuff adds up. Yeah, it might take 6 months to save, but if I really wanted to do something, it was worth me doing it, right? And so, traveling becomes one of those things. It's like, do you really, how badly do you want to do it? And are you just talking about it? And so to be in a space with people who are actually living it, or taking the necessary steps to get there, those to me are spaces to hold on to, right? So when I meet ladies like you guys and, gents who are on here listening as well, and you guys are doing the show, like, that's that extra motivation or inspiration, I should say. Um, that's a bird. The inspiration for me personally, it's not like everybody doesn't get inspiration the same way, but I look at that sometimes it's like, okay, I got to keep going. I got to keep going because, people are looking for how do you do it, and sincerely, like some people just like to make small talk, and that's fine. But I also learned to discern when people honestly want the assistance to do something greater than what they're already doing, to move to the next level, and to be in those kinds of spaces and have those conversations, whether it's family, friends, new people that you meet. The couple that we met from the boat, like I said, we literally, after our tour of being together for 3+ hours on this tour, we ended up hanging for another, like, 3, 4, 5. It was another maybe three hours or something after that. So like a total of 6 hours. And while we were on the tour, we literally sat and we talked to each other the whole time. We walked to, we couldn't get on the bus. We couldn't figure out where the bus stopped so we could take it to the station. So we decided to look on the map, and we walked and talked the entire time. Caught that, and then, took them to a neighborhood I was familiar with because nobody else was familiar. We found a restaurant. We sat and we talked and ate and was there for like 2 hours. So you end up meeting people that share similar lifestyle, or they're doing something that you want to do, and so now you have an opportunity to inquire about things, find out, what are the I can't think of the word. How do you say intricacies? Y'all know what I'm trying to say. I can't even think of the word I'm trying to say. It'll come to me as soon as I get off this live. Uh, but I loved it because I feel like nothing is by accident unless you don't recognize it or pursue what it could be. So that could have been presented, and we just do the tour and just say hi and not have a conversation. But it was meant to actually, expand upon that. And like when I meet people where I can have conversations, and, you know, we go into a intrinsically, thank you. Is that the right word? I done said it so much now. I tried to say it so much. I was like, is that what I was trying to say? Ooh. I can't even say it's early. Yeah, it's early. It's only 9. It's still early, y'all. It's still early. As I get older, my closest friends change according to my priorities. How do you feel about that, Aisha? Like, how do you feel about? How do you feel about moving on, or how do your friends feel when you're, and not necessarily like, oh, I ain't gonna be your friend anymore, I ain't gonna talk to you anymore, but you don't have that unique space for them anymore because you've picked up a new person, or you're just you fill that space doing something else. Like, is that difficult for you? I mean, obviously you're doing it, so you manage it, but do people have an issue in your circle when it's time to say goodbye? Yep, it takes a lot of expendable income to be an addict. Listen, I'll be like, can I get a loan? Can I? Because the way that y'all spend money, like, I'm like, I could be rich up in this joint with the money that, but I understand. I understand the sickness and all of that, so I'm not making light of it. Just like I was talking to somebody about that, I said, the one thing they know how to do is get the money they need to do what they want. So I take that as inspiration. Hell, if people who don't have, you know, money, homes, whatever, can figure out how to get out here and survive every day without all the resources and stuff, we ought to be able to do it too. If we want it bad enough, right? If we want it bad enough, we should be able to figure out how to do most things. And so being able to see it from that perspective, like most there aren't a whole lot of things that should hold us back from achieving our dreams and our goals and our aspirations. There shouldn't be a whole bunch of things that get in the way of that. Maybe slow us down, but not to the point of you never get to accomplish it because, and I know we have things, dilemmas and situations that constantly try to hold us back, but keep fighting, y'all. Keep fighting. So yeah, I just wanted to jump on because I normally am by myself when I travel. Even when I would run into my brother, like we've always had, like we don't necessarily plan trips together. We never did before, but there was we would when we went to China, we planned that because one of us went, and so all of us went, and we had that motto, like when one goes, we all go. And I have that relationship with my brothers, and it's a very special relationship. Um, and then like the next year, I ended up planning a trip, and my brother planned a trip separate. And we were talking at my mom. We were at my mother's house, and we were talking, and we were just like, he made a comment talking about where he was going, and he mentioned one of the countries that I was going to be in. And I was like, wait, when are you going to be there? We literally planned it without planning it together. And we crossed paths in Morocco at the same time. It's destiny. This is what we're supposed to be doing, right? So I say, don't knock when you meet people. You're like, man, that's cool. Reach out, save their WhatsApp number, send them a hello, keep in touch. I keep in touch with this girl I met in Portugal in 2018. And every time I go back to Portugal, I try to I make sure that we connect, grab a bite to eat, sit and chat, catch up. We touch base maybe every 3 or 4 months. Before it was like every month or whatever. Now it's like every 3 or 4 months or even longer. But we pick up from where we left off. What are you doing? What's going on? How are you doing? Where are you at right now? And you realize that you can have special connections with people who aren't in your daily life, and it doesn't devalue the connection, right? So it makes me sad, and one of my friends calls me Casper, saying I ghost people. But it would no longer, if we no longer have anything in common, what are we talking about? I've become more at peace with it now. Well, bless your heart. It's hard. It's easier said than done, especially if you're just getting started in a space where you're focusing more on your happiness. A lot of people, say negative things about happiness, and people will lead people to be happy. Yeah, yeah, we should, especially if you can. What's so wrong with that? What's so wrong with wanting to have a beautiful experience in the life that you're living in? You got one piece of flesh, you got one brain. Live it, enjoy it. Uh, so yeah, I commend you for doing that, because I mean, it seems like there's so many people in the world who are more afraid of losing the friendships and the connections that they have, even if they don't have anything in common. Even if, when we get around each other, I'm doing something I really don't want to do, but that's my best friend. We've been friends since high school. We've been friends since this and that. And I'm just like, no, I'm not going to. Time is money. So we put so much value on money. Time for me is money, because I can never get it back. Money we can always make more of if you know, you're sharp enough and always willing to learn and reinvent yourself and stuff like that. Or go back and do something you used to do. Go back to the basics. Do the traditional things. You can always make money, especially in the States. You can figure out ways to make money. But you'll never get your time back. And so to waste it, or not waste it, but to spend it with people that, it's like talking to a lump on a bump on a lump, a rock, a wall, it's like you're talking to blanketness, and you don't have anything in common. to me, it's a waste of time. Like you said, like, and I have found people to get upset about that. Like, they'll just be like, when are you coming back home? And for me, when people ask me when am I coming back home, and it's not attached to, some sort of tragedy, or, like, even coming home for holidays, what would be the point of coming home for a Hallmark holiday? For some people it's really important. For me, it's not. Now, if you say come home to visit your grandbabies, that's different, because I don't need a holiday to do that. And matter of fact, I prefer for it not to be a holiday to do that, because then it costs me less money, right? Because this is the life that I'm choosing to live. I need to be able to manage it and maintain it. So I have to be smart about certain things. Like, sometimes you compromise on that because it may be the only time that you can see somebody. But I'm a real big stickler about, like, what does a day on a calendar that somebody told me I have to use that time to be happy with a, I'm so past it. My brothers are so past it. Like, we're past it. The only things we really, and it's very, like, it's even minimal, but we acknowledge this. I acknowledge birthdays, but like holidays on the calendar, no, because if I want to celebrate Christ, I should do that every day. If I want to celebrate Mother's Day, I should be doing that every day. If I want to celebrate giving thanks, I should be doing that every day. Like, I don't isolate a day anymore. It's been over, I'm 50. It's been probably 15 years, since I do things for my grandkids, because my kids, still do holiday things like that. But we haven't, we don't celebrate traditionally. We and we're in tune with that, and that's what kind of the point I'm making is we're on the same page in that respect. And I don't mind people who do celebrate, people who still put up, all of their holiday things, and it's a fun time. We should do it as a family. It was amazing. um you know but we realized that even with gift giving, we were literally just exchanging money. And it was like, why are we doing this? This is so silly. So then we started volunteering every holiday. So we would spending family time together, because if that's what's important, then let's do that. And let's do something so someone else has an enjoyable time. And then after that, it was, let's travel. We don't even want to be here anymore. Like, I hate the cold. And even in Texas, it was still cold to me in the wintertime. So it was like, let's travel. Major holidays, I'd be gone. Every time I got a chance, I was gone. But I always knew I would leave and travel outside of the country. So, and I'm blessed to have siblings who share that as well with me. But if I didn't, it wouldn't stop my momentum. It wouldn't stop me from doing it. And I think that's one of the things that, I just like to share in my experience, in my videos and things like that, is you don't have to give up your passion and your dreams because there aren't other people necessarily in your current circle that want to do those things or understand where you're going. Because a lot of times I say, what it is that God has for you, other people may not understand because it ain't for them, it's for you, right? And it's okay to, it's like, it's like, give yourself permission to enjoy and live the life that you want to try to live it. You give yourself permission to do that. And I find that a lot of times we're afraid to do that. I can't do that. I need to wait for this and that. I don't have a companion yet, or my friends can't go. And we don't know that it's okay. It's okay to do it because it's the right thing to do for you. And that's that, like, Shannon, I think you were talking about that, taking that time to yourself. That's taking time to yourself. If you need to take that vacation or take that sabbatical and do those 3 or 6 months somewhere else in your own private space, we need that for real. Um, that's truly a blessing. Your family has the same wanderlust aspirations. My brothers, not everybody, not everybody, and I'm okay with people who don't understand, because it's not for everybody to understand, right? Everything that we want to do, you can't make everybody happy, and nor can you make people understand. I get people ask me all the time, when why don't you sit down? And I'm like, I am sitting down right now. I'm just not sitting down where you want me to sit down. I'm sitting down where my heart wants to be, and that might be jumping around. And when you have people who approach you like that and they don't understand, those aren't friends. Those aren't people who genuinely see that this is what makes you happy, whatever it is. It can be playing a guitar, or, you know, tightrope walking, whatever. They don't genuinely see that that is something that uplifts you and gives you vibrations and all of that. Don't matter who it is, those aren't friends. And even more so to say that those aren't family members that, if you have people like that, because I listen to people in groups saying that, their family stopped speaking to them because they're moving or they want to move. Why would you do something stupid? And it eats away at people who, this is what I've always wanted to do, this is what I've always wanted to do, and they don't have the backing of their family. I don't tell, I tell a few people, like my brothers pretty much know everywhere I'm going before I go, but I keep it on the low until I'm somewhere to make sure, I'm safe before share with other people and stuff, just to make sure nobody's worrying or there's no other, issues and things like that. But yeah, I don't look for people to validate what I want to do, nor do I look for people to give me their timeline on when they think I need to sit down. And the other part is I always say, I've been sitting down. I was sitting down for 48 years. You just didn't catch me when I was sitting down, only taking the vacations that I had. I had over 50 something vacation days a year when I was working full time. And plus our holidays. So to be gone 3 weeks at a time, which is only 15 days, and I had 51 days, I was gone like 6 times out of the year, like 2 week minimum vacations. So, this isn't like a new thing for me. My grandma told me, if you're always the smartest, innovative person in your circle, find new friends, come through. Aisha, come through. Facts, the flights is cheaper coming. Oh, oh, shoot. Coming back and when it's not a holiday. And I am at a point where I have to manage my money very tightly. And so, yeah, I can't frivolously, unless it's an emergency, I can't just be buying $2,000, $3,000 tickets and I'm moving around. Like once I find my forever space, at least a space for a year, like I did last year, then it's a little bit easier because you can set all your things down and you're not bopping around every month, right? Once you start bopping around, it's expensive to do that. So you have to do it in a logical way. Now I share all that stuff with y'all. I have a travel course that talks about that, ways to travel, ways to do your booking. You guys sound like you all are already doing it, and that's why I like to come on and have these chats and even learn from you guys, because I feel like I learn every single day. Like, oh, I didn't know that. Oh, that's cool. Oh, I didn't know there was this extra benefit to maybe a tool that I'm using, and somebody says something. I'm like, oh, I didn't know. Let me go and check. So it's like forever learning. And a lot of times, I'll end with this. A lot of times, we talk about expansion and growing and, you know, um, constantly building ourselves up. And I find that most people associate that with a level increase at a job, a new title, more money, another degree. Typically are the things that I find that people think about when we talk about elevating ourselves. Very rarely do we think of it in this space when it comes to lifetime travel, living to travel, moving about, living in different spaces. But that's learning. That it's just unconventional. It's not the traditional style of learning, but I'm learning a whole different way. I'm learning in the space that makes me feel prosperous. And I'm okay with that. I had reservations in the beginning, like, oh, I don't want people to, you worry about what people say, especially if it's close family members and stuff like that. But you can worry or you can get up and go, you know, or you can invite them to join you. If you join me, cool. If you don't, that's cool too. So I'm learning to balance what I need first, put my mask on first, and then if I've got space, if I've got the energy and the capacity to do and assist somebody else, then I will do that. But other than that, hey Denise, I'm 62 years old. What up? Okay. And watching your travels and others, I have traveled more this year. I don't know why this keeps doing this. Traveled more this year than ever, and it has opened my mind and curiosity to explore. Thank you for educating. You are so welcome. Um, where have you gone this year, 2022? Can you share some of the countries, cities, states, if it's within the states? Because I tell people don't knock that either. If you are it's people who have traveled to more states, like in the United States, than countries I've traveled to. And I don't do a lot of interstate traveling anymore. I will at some point, but right now my heart is abroad, um, and that's what works for me right now. But I know I have places on my list in the U.S. We actually have some very beautiful cities and attractions in the U.S. I never knock moving around, but I am because of I am somewhat frugal in my travel. When I look at the price, the ticket price for traveling domestically, and I look at the same ticket price for traveling internationally, international always wins out. It always wins out because I'm just like, oh my god, I could be around the world for around the same price. Portugal, Morocco, Tanzania, Kenya, Rwanda, from New York. Oh my god, amazing! Which one was? So I'm gonna tell you, I don't hate when people ask me this, but I always get tongue tied when people ask me this because I'm just like, which one was your favorite? Especially since if you did them all this year, which experience did you think was the best? I have been to all of those except Rwanda. Um, I was supposed to go to Rwanda while I was in Tanzania, but I never made it. I never made it. I didn't even make it up to Moshi or Arusha like I was planning on. But I plan to go back. I plan to go back, see some friends, and hang out and stuff. So, um, love the Riyadh in Morocco. Did you stay in the old Medina area? The way they build those houses with the pool slash jacuzzi or bathing tub or fountain or whatever in the middle, and it's all open. I love it. I love the colors and you know the intricate detail that they put into their structures, and the color is amazing. It'll be like stuff that you'll look and you'll be like, if you were building a house, we like very simple, clean, straight lines and stuff. I like a lot of curves in my stuff, but I do like a clean, like kind of palette where you can dress it up however you want. But I love colorful cities too. Like I love places that like are kind of flamboyant when it comes to color. Even like outsides of buildings, when buildings are painted, you got all like when you go to Cuba, you see it a lot. Here in Colombia, there's lots of that. I'm heading to Cartagena too before the end of the year, and so I'm looking forward to some of that vibrancy there as well. And so I like it, but I also like a palette that I can dress up. Yes, I did. I loved it. Made friends, and we'll go back. That is awesome. That is awesome. What you got on plan for 2023? I think, Shana, you told me what you're doing in 2023, but I forgot. Yeah, I got short term memory. Because I know you are getting back into kicking off your travel journey as well. I meet my street mangoes. It's another thing I love about traveling. Street food for me is the fruit street fruit. Yeah, street fruit. So last night we bought these things. Let me show them to you guys. Hold on. We were in the downtown area, and they had the little street carts. And I was like, since there's not a whole lot over by me, it's one of the negatives about being over here. Just right here in the space, there aren't any like. There's only one restaurant that's close, and it's actually only open for the people who stay there, but they let us in yesterday. Um, so anyway, we were like, let's get some things for the morning, and this guy had these fruit, and he said the name, but like I can't find it to figure out what he was saying, and it kind of looked like grapes, and I'm not sure if they turn red. I think they turn red. If they're green, they're not ripened yet, but they have an interesting, unique taste. Let me see. I'm gonna bite into this one, and yeah, we washed them. And you can eat the skin too. But I just peeled it, and it's kind of like a grape, but not. It's got a huge seed on the inside. I don't know. Maybe I go plant it and grow some, but you can eat the outside. It's a little tangy. Couldn't figure out. Looked online. Couldn't figure out what the English version of this is. But yeah, so bought some mangoes and some of these little fruits. That's the coolest thing, is like being able to explore like we call them exotic fruits. Exotic fruits this morning. Planning my exit out of the USA, exploring now. Amazing. Well, Denise, hopefully like we cross paths while you're out here exploring. We'll have to keep in touch. Um Shana, you finishing up your residency in Puerto Vallarta and then spending a few months in Playa. That's right. I remember you were in Mexico. I may come where you are right now when I leave Playa. I'm thinking about coming back here after, because I leave January 1st. Oh, shoot, I need to do something. That just made me think of something. I leave January 1st, and then I'm thinking about coming back here or popping in El Salvador and then coming back here before I head back over to the east side of the world. Um, this year I would be traveling to Thailand and Egypt, plus wherever trees be. So Thailand is supposed to be my forever home. So we'll keep in touch because I might run into you. I don't know which province you'll be in, but I would like to set up shop for a year so that I can make my way around to the places that I haven't been to, and pop into Cambodia, pop into Vietnam and the Philippines. Because once you're over there, it's pretty easy to bop around. And then Aisha said this year we were only able to do a bless America. Cruise to the Bahamas. Okay, a few East Coast beaches and Disney World. Hope to do more next year. That's awesome. So Aisha, are you a world cruiser? Like, is that like your primary mode of travel, especially since you have a young one? Aisha, I agree with you. I did the Nile River cruise as well. Super awesome. Did you go to Abu Simbel? Some good fruit. Okay. Sorry about that, you guys. Something popped up on my phone. I love little conversations like this where I get to see what other people in the rest of the part of the world are doing, how you're doing it. Like I said, I'm always learning. I'm always ready and open to learn and hear about experiences and what the rest of the world is doing. So I'm actually the rest of this morning, I'm gonna be working on a few little things because I really have been slacking. That's why you guys hadn't seen me on YouTube for a while. Um, just hanging out with my bro, like I said, and so windy up here. Nothing survives. Um, and then packing up so I can move to my next location. I'm staying in this city, but I'm just moving to a new apartment that is walkable, so I don't have to catch a taxi everywhere. Give you guys a quick example of price. A taxi from here to the downtown area of Santa Marta. They say it's like a 42-minute drive from here. It's like 20,000. They charge anywhere from 20,000 to 25,000 pesos, which is equivalent to $4 or $5. That's it. And that's a taxi. You walk downstairs and they'll call a taxi for you. They don't actually have Uber here. They don't have rideshare. I'm gonna check to see if they have InDriver, but Uber is not available here. But it's okay because the taxis are pretty cheap and they're readily available pretty much everywhere you are. There's yellow taxis everywhere. So just a little notation about Santa Marta. I am gonna be doing a video on like comparing Ecuador to Colombia. And I may actually compare Colombia to Mexico as well. Since I did 10 cities in Mexico, I did 7 cities in Ecuador, and I will have hit 4 cities here in Colombia before I move to my next spot in January. So I think I'm going to be doing that. So check back, you guys, for those videos. And then I'm going to be backtracking. As you guys know, I have a lot of the past 30 months that I haven't done videos for. I did a lot on Kenya and Tanzania last year. I did a number of videos on Egypt when I was there last year as well. And Belize, I've done some videos on, but I haven't done anything on Thailand, I don't think, except one about dating in Thailand. That still holds true. If y'all want to, get an update, that still holds true. And then some of the other places I've been in Europe, Portugal, Spain, the number of cities that I've been there, just sharing kind of some of the similarities and differences, and like why it keeps drawing me back, like why I want to continue to go back. There's so many different places to see, but why I like it. So I'll be doing more of that. So I'm really busy. January may be a little less activity, but we'll see because I'll be involved in some work stuff. So I appreciate you guys for checking in. I am going to get off of here so I can get my life together and get moving around, get my stuff packed, and then find some food because I'm a little hungry. So it's always so awesome to chat with you guys. Whoever jumps on, anybody who watches this in the replay, thank you for checking it out. If you haven't already subscribed, I greatly appreciate that. And a click on the like button and a click on that notification bell, my little dingy bell, ding, 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 so you know when I go live. And if you guys have any questions and stuff like that, I'll also type in my email. I forget to do this each time, but my website link is in my on my YouTube page. You can go there and you can contact me there, or I'll put my link in here as well if you want to just chat about different experiences. And I would love to be able to reach out to you guys around some of your experiences too. So maybe we'll do that on the next live video. So anyway, you guys, I'm gonna get out of here, ladies. You guys enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for hanging out with me this morning, and hopefully you enjoy this beautiful, oh, those are buildings, amazing, amazing view. I'll get out of here. You guys know the drill. Toodles and noodles, peace and hair grease.